All right, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. I know this is not the day that I normally go live. So, as you're coming in, if you're watching live, I want to ask that you give the thumbs up immediately. That would be great. Give the thumbs up super fast. And then also comment by letting me know where you are tuning in from. Put your city, put your state, put your country in the comments or in the chat for my people who are tuning in live. If you're watching a replay, that's awesome. I see you. I hope that you gain some value from this particular video on today. So, with that being said, there's a couple of things that we have been discussing over the past few weeks. And normally I go live on Fridays. I did go live on Friday, but the issue was there wasn't enough engagement. So I just figured, you know what? I was going to record it, but I'm like, you know what? I'll just go live. Whoever shows up, shout out to you. And then whoever doesn't but watches the replay, shout out to you, okay? So something that I touched on Friday was the idea of just because we can trade or buy, I should say, as investors, just because just because you can buy something doesn't mean that you should. So there are three things that we're going to be able to do. We're going to be able to observe, we're going to prepare, or we're going to execute. One of those three things or a combination of those three things. So today that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about how all three of those are valid investment decisions, okay? So the question that I want you to answer in the comments, okay? And you can at any point when you're watching this video is, sometimes we see things, we hear things, we read things, and we feel like we should be doing something. We should be making some type of move, right? Maybe we see that Bitcoin price is moving. Maybe we've read a headline talking about the Clarity Act, or everybody on social media is talking about something that is triggering to us that we feel pressured to either buy or sell said cryptocurrency, okay? What if I told you, though, that one of the most valuable investing skills isn't knowing when to act? It's actually knowing when not to act, when to sit on our hands, like my battle buddy, Bear Market Bully says on TikTok, right? That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about patience and why doing nothing sometimes is the best thing to do to protect your money, so that way you can make better financial decisions moving forward and not rushed money decisions, okay? So over the past three sessions, we talked about a couple of things. We touched on headlines, not automatically telling us what to do. We talked about separating facts from opinions when we read these headlines. We also talk about using our investor dashboard to help understand the market, okay? So how are we going to decide whether today even requires any type of action? All right, we're going to go into that. All right, so if you are new to crypto, all right, and you are just starting out your journey, I want you to go to the description box right now, download that free crypto beginner checklist, because it's going to cover a few things for you. It's going to cover some of the beginner mistakes, okay, that a lot of us have made before we purchase our first cryptocurrency, or just in general in our cryptocurrency journey. All right, it's also going to ask you some questions. So if you're like, yeah, I mean, I'm not really that new. I've purchased some crypto, I just don't really know what I'm doing just yet. It's going to ask you some questions to answer honestly, so that way you can move forward in identifying if right now financially is a viable time for you to invest, or if you need to get some things in order and then boom, come back and invest, okay? So again, go ahead and click the link in the description box of this video. You'll be able to download that for free 99. All right, so let's talk about why we feel pressured to act, okay? There have been times where we hear something, we see something, and we feel like I have to do something right now or else I'm going to miss out. I'm going to miss my opportunity. And that's something called FOMO, right? So that is just short for fear of missing out. Now, our brains naturally want to be certain of a act, certain that this is what I should do. This is what's going to happen. It feels like we should know exactly what's going to happen. So when markets are moving pretty fast, sometimes we may mistake activity for progress. But I got to tell y'all something. Investing isn't about staying busy. I said this on Friday, okay? It's about making thoughtful, intentional decisions. So, as investors, we want to be more productive than busy, okay? That's it. That's all. We want to be more productive, more intentional than busy. So that leads me to the three decisions that we as investors can potentially make. We're either going to observe, we're either going to prepare or execute when we see or hear something that piques our interest about an asset or asset class that we are considering investing in. So number one is observe. All right. Now, when it comes to observe, you don't necessarily have all the information at that moment, right? More than likely, the environment isn't really clear. There's a little bit of mixed messaging, possibly, or some things are not in alignment 100%. So, when you are looking at investment, you may walk into it like, it's not clear, so I may just push pause. I want to say something because sometimes we confuse things. Observation is not equal to being lazy. Okay, when we're observing, that doesn't mean that we're not doing anything. That is actual work, and that work is actually discipline on our end because we are now making sure that the step that we take is the right step for us in that particular moment. Now, I gotta say, is that observe is really big for me because I've been an observer my entire life. Ever since I was a kid, y'all. That's how I pick my friends. That's how I pick everything. I observe. I want to see if it's good, how many people are how many people it works well for, what's the response or reaction to said thing. Like I just observe, right? That is the story of my life. So when I said this is how I pick friends, like when I was a kid and even as I got older, I would always just sit back and watch people and I would listen, like really listen to how they're speaking about people around them or their friends or whatever. They don't know that I'm watching them because I want to see if I should even be in that person's space or continue to stay away. Now, something I want to put out there is like what do you think a person that sits back and observes, what do you think that person sees, right? What is revealed to them when they sit back and they observe, right? Now, if you're watching me live, because I see you, if you're watching me live and you want to type in the comments or in the chat, you can. But if you're watching a replay, you can always type in the comments like, what do you think is revealed to a person when they sit back and they just observe, right? Like for me, if I hear you talking negatively about people or you're a reckless individual, like you be stealing and all kind of stuff, like you own some stuff that's gonna probably get me in trouble, more than likely I'm gonna stay away from you. Because I'm not going down for nobody. You hear me? I'm not going to jail for nobody. I'm not getting in trouble for nobody. If I get in trouble, it's because of something I did knowingly. I did that thing, right? So what that revealed to me when I would watch people is these are people that I should probably steer clear of, or hey, they all right, they cool with me, right? So back to as an investor, when we observe, what that does is it in my mind, it triggers like that yellow light, right? From our traffic light method. It's that yellow light. I slow down. As an investor, if stuff is not making sense, if it's not clear to me, hold on, why is this not clear? What information am I missing? Does that make sense? And so for me, if the information is not making sense, the things are not lining up, then I say, you know what? More than likely, I'll come back later. That could be later today. That could be later tomorrow, whatever. Okay. So when we are observing, we're not saying no, we're not going to invest at all, or we might not even be saying, we're not going to invest today. It's just right now, I need to give it a little bit of time. I need to get some more information or context, whatever, from what I've already seen at this moment. And then I can make a decision, a conscious decision, an intentional decision based on the information that I received, more information that I received. So that's number one. We observe, okay? The second one that we can do as investors is prepare. We should stay in a state of preparation, okay? The market may not, be giving us a green light today. Like today's Sunday. Okay, cool. The market's not open just yet, but we can always still prepare. Over the weekend, you could be preparing. Okay. So, okay, Leona, you said over the weekend I could be preparing, but what does that look like? Okay, I got you. Number one, you could, if you know that, like, let's say you got paid on Friday, all right, you could have scheduled for some money to be sent to your brokerage account, your investment account, okay? So when you're ready to make a purchase, when things line up, when price is right, you know what I'm saying? When those things happen, the money is already there. So when you're adding money to your investment account, your brokerage account, to your crypto exchange, whatever, that could be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, depending on your current investment plan and that word that y'all don't like, which is budget. Okay, budget. I'm going to say it. All right. The second type of preparation we can do is update our watch list. All of us should have a watch list for whatever asset class we're going to invest in. So if you're a person that invests in the stock market, more than likely you have a few ETFs and companies that you're eyeballing, and then you're looking at a few things to say, okay, now I'm ready to buy, or hold up, it's time for me to possibly sell because these things have consecutively happened, and it appears to me that this particular company or this particular asset is no longer as valuable as it was before, so I'm going to cut it from my portfolio, right? So you update your watch list. The other thing that you can do when we talk about preparation is continue learning. You're watching this video possibly on a Sunday evening, okay? Or whatever day, whatever time of day you're watching the replay, you're wanting to learn more about cryptocurrency. You're wanting to learn more about being an investor that thinks and not just move off of impulse and emotion. So continual learning is a form of preparation. It is a type of preparation for us as investors. The other thing that we can do to prepare is to review our investing plan. All of us should have an investment plan. We should know what we're going to invest in, or what we would like to invest in, why we would like to invest in that thing, what purpose is going to serve when it's time for us to take profit. Like, what are we using the profit for? Is it for a down payment on a house, some land? Is it for us to pay off debt, college fund, vacation fund? What is the purpose of us investing in that particular asset, right? So reviewing your investing plan, that is a form of preparation. And then the last thing, which is really huge to me, and people, for whatever reason, tend to gloss over and think that dollar cost averaging means just buy no matter what. And that's part of it. You buy according to whatever frequency in which you're going to buy, weekly, bi-weekly, or once a month. But you also need to identify the price levels in which you're interested in either buying or selling. So for me, an example is, hey, listen, I was just looking at like some of the stuff that I had from 2021. And I've been talking about cryptocurrency as a person that's teaching people about cryptocurrency. Like, as soon as I learned some stuff, I was like, oh my God, everybody needs to know this, right? So 2020, I was doing my deep dive. 2021, because I was so excited and learning so much, I was like, y'all got to learn this. And I start talking about cryptocurrency to people in 2021. So in 2022, the bear market hit, and at that point, Bitcoin had got down. No. My bad. Let me take this back. 2021 was still the bull market. Bitcoin had hit 66K at that time. And I was talking to people, doing content and just telling people like, yo, like Bitcoin just hit 66K. And I was eventually the following year, I was like, listen, you need to know when Bitcoin continues to drop in price, like at what point are you going to start back buying? You know, at what price point are you anticipating starting back buying? Or if you're still buying right now, at what point are you going to stop? Because, you know, you've been buying from here to here, but we're in a bear market. Like, what is your plan? I'm confused, right? So I'm saying this to say we need to know what price we're going to buy in that's attractive to us and whatnot with what we're going to do. And then also at what price are we going to stop buying that particular asset and possibly rotate our capital to something else. Okay. So for us, when we talk about investing, preparing today, us doing that, preparing today is going to help us make execution easier tomorrow. Okay. Which leads me to the third thing that we can do as investors, or the decisions that we make as an investors, is to execute. Okay. So execution is not just, you know, I'm just going to buy. Okay. This is when our investment plan and the market environment both align. Execution isn't based on emotion. Let me say that one more time for my people who missed it. Maybe I talked a little too fast for you. Execution isn't based on emotion. Okay? Everybody got that? It's based on preparation. All right? So we're not chasing candles, even though I show charts here. We're not chasing hype and headlines and people excited about the next big cryptocurrency or the next company on the rise. Now, we don't do that here at Prosperity Calls. We follow a plan, period. Whatever the plan is, we follow that plan to a T. Okay? So what I'm gonna do is, if you're watching live, because I see y'all and y'all not commenting, so I'm just gonna keep it rolling. Okay. But if you want to comment, great. If you don't and you're watching the replay, I'm gonna ask that when you comment, you're gonna do a couple of things. Okay. I'm gonna give you 4 different scenarios. I'm gonna run through them I'm not going to say fast. I'm going to go through them, okay? And I'm going to say scenario 1, and then I'm going to say what the scenario is. And I want you to tell me, based on the scenario, are you going to observe, prepare, or execute? And why? Type that in the comments for my people who are watching the replay. If you can type it in the chat while watching this live, that's great. I shout out to you, okay? So scenario, the number for the scenario, your answer of I'm going to observe, I will prepare, or I will execute. And here's why. Got it? All right. So scenario number 1. All right. You see that Bitcoin has rose 8% in price after a big headline. Scenario 1 is Bitcoin price has risen 8% after a big headline. Would you observe? Would you prepare? Or would you execute? Type that in the chat for those of you watching live. If you're watching a replay, type scenario 1, observe, prepare, or execute. And for everyone, type why you would observe, prepare, or execute. One more time. Scenario number 1 is you see that Bitcoin price has risen 8% after a big headline. You are either going to observe, prepare, or execute. Type that in the chat and tell us why. Got it? That's scenario 1. Scenario 2, all right, is today's Sunday. The market isn't open yet. So, of course, the market is quiet, okay? There's no major news being released, and you may look at some things and you see that indicators right now remain mixed. What do you do? Observe, prepare, or execute. That's scenario 2. Again, scenario 2 is the market is quiet. Indicators are remaining mixed. There's no real deal, major headlines or news. So, are you going to observe, prepare, or execute? Type that in the comments for those you watching replay and you watching this live. If you want to type it in the chat, by all means, go ahead and type it in the chat. Okay. Scenario 3, all right? Scenario 3, you finally have 3 months of your I Got It fund saved, okay? That's for my people who are not familiar with me. I don't like the word emergency. I call it my I Got It fund, okay? Because if something go down that I'm not expecting, I got it. Cool? Okay, cool. So scenario 3 is you finally have 3 months of your I Got It fund saved. What do you do? Do you observe? Do you prepare? Or do you execute? And why? Type that in the chat for my people watching live. Or if you're watching a replay, type it in the comments. Scenario 3, do you observe, prepare, or execute? And why? Type that in the comments, okay? Last scenario. Scenario number 4 is you've been waiting for months to buy you some Bitcoin according to your investment plan. What do you do? Do you observe? Do you prepare? Or do you execute? That's scenario 4. You've been waiting for months to buy you some Bitcoin according to your investment plan that you've written down. Do you prepare? Do you observe? Do you prepare? Or do you execute? Type scenario 4, one of those 3 answers, and why. Okay? Now, here's the thing, y'all. This isn't about having the right answer. There's no one right answer. It's your answer, okay? The goal of this particular exercise is to practice thinking. We are becoming, unfortunately, a little too reliant upon people to just give us the answer. To just tell us, buy Bitcoin right now. Don't buy Bitcoin right now. Buy XRP right now. Don't buy XRP right now. Buy this Bitcoin ETF. Don't buy this Bitcoin. We unfortunately, I'm hearing it. People want me. They're coming on my live streams and telling me, just tell me what to buy. I can't do that legally. I can't do that. But why would you want someone to have that level of control over your success as an investor? No. So I want you to practice thinking on your own and being intentional on how you're going to move forward as an investor. Okay. So if you have been enjoying this entire series and enjoying learning how to think through the market instead of just simply reacting to it because you're like, I don't know what to do and I'm just going to buy. Okay. I love to help you build your own investing routine. Inside that crypto beginner workshop, we actually go beyond theory. Okay. There's a lot of information you get, but trust me, in that 4 hours, I think the pace is slow enough for you to get it, but fast enough for you to be able to execute immediately. Okay. So within that crypto beginner workshop, you're going to learn how to choose a crypto exchange with us going through that whole crypto or exchange comparison. We do that with 5 different crypto exchanges, okay, or platforms that sell cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. All right. And then even when we go through that, the next step is to help you to buy your first cryptocurrency. If you have not bought any at all, there is a live demonstration. Okay. So I personally use Coinbase as the platform to purchase. I actually purchase Bitcoin. So I use that to purchase Bitcoin. And so that way people can see how easy it is. It takes less than 1 minute Okay, it's actually a few seconds to make the purchase. Okay, and then we also learn how to secure that Bitcoin or whichever cryptocurrency into a private wallet. Now, when I say private wallet, you're probably like, Leona, what the heck is that? All the more reason for you to go and participate, join the Crypto Beginner Workshop. Okay, that is another live demonstration where I show you how to move your cryptocurrency from Coinbase, which is a crypto exchange where we can buy and sell our cryptocurrency, but also moving it from there to my own private wallet, which is a hot wallet. Okay. So you will learn the difference between hot and cold wallets and all of that stuff in that crypto beginner workshop. All right. But that's a live demonstration to show you how simple it is. And we do small amounts so that way you can practice doing small test transactions, okay, as well. Then we go do a deeper dive into the investor dashboard routine that I've talked about live here to help you to establish what type of routine you're going to have as an investor. All right. And then lastly, one of the other things out of the many things we talk about is creating your own plan so that you can follow that after the boot or after the workshop with confidence. So you now can go and continue to make purchases and exchange and transactions and all of you can do all of this stuff on your own. All right. Now, the next workshop is, of course, a hands-on experience, and I'd love to have you join us. All right. So you can click the link in the bio, or for my bad, you can click the link in the description box here on YouTube. But here's the thing: if October is too far out for you, okay, then you can always get the workshop on demand, get access to it, and you can watch it any time of the day, multiple times within the day, down the line, because you'll have lifetime access to the crypto beginner workshop, the one that we just had in July, on July 11th. Okay, so you can start today by clicking the link in the description box of this video. All right, so let's go into our investor checkpoint, and then we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to show y'all a headline. I just saw it today. Okay, and I said this is interesting because we've been talking about, you know, the stuff that comes out about the Clarity Act, and I'm seeing it all over, you know, my timelines on TikTok specifically. I'm seeing it over and over again, and I'm just like, Jesus, y'all, there's no real deal new news. When you read these articles, they're not really saying nothing has changed, right? So this is a headline. All right, I'm on coindesk.com. This is the headline. They say 2 weeks left for clarity. The state of crypto. The Senate leaves town in 2 weeks. Here's what needs to happen for clarity to advance before then. When you read that type of headline, there may be some people, I'm not saying everyone, but there may be some people who automatically go into panic mode and come up with all of these alternatives and things of that nature, and these scenarios, and well, if they don't do this, and start talking about things. And this is how rumors start, because what ends up happening is people do not speak specifically about the facts. And what we want to do right now on this particular live stream is speak facts. I'm going to scroll down here for 1 second. Okay, this just says the senators released new text for Clarity Act, merging two versions and addressing for the first time what an ethics provision might look like. That's what this entire article is pretty much about. Ethics provision. What do they want to happen? They don't want the Department of Justice to be an overseer to enforce the rules, right? They don't want that. My question is, when you read this, keep reading. You can keep reading. I'm not going to read it all because I've already read it already. But when you keep reading it, does this say that anything has changed today pertaining to cryptocurrency and law? Absolutely not. When reading this article, okay, did anything change with the effectiveness of blockchain technology for any of these cryptocurrencies? Absolutely not. Okay. Now, price fluctuates because of human beings and their emotions. and their interpretations and their expectations, right? But there's no fact here that the bill has not or is not passing. All it says is there's 2 weeks left before the Senate goes into recess. That's it. That's all. See? That's it. Okay? They say the reason why they want the ethics provision in here, but again, this is not telling us that it will not pass. And nothing has changed with any blockchain technology. Okay? So I just wanted to put that out there. So this is us pausing for the cause. That's it. That's all. We're pausing for the cause. We read the headlines and we're like, okay, so what happened? What actually happened? We're separating the facts from the opinions that are plastered all over social media. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through our investor dashboard, our 5 things. We're going to look at the DXY, Treasury yield, QQQ, NVIDIA, and then our Bitcoin ETF flows. So what we want to do is identify what is each one of these indicators telling us today, what type of environment we may be walking into when the cryptocurrency, when the market opens for people to be able to trade, right? Which happens at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so let's go and move forward. Now, here's the thing. This is what I want y'all to know. When we look at pretty much everything besides cryptocurrency, all of the dates for that stuff is going to be the last available bit of information will be from Friday because the stock market closes on Friday. Okay, just a heads up. All right, except for we should be able to see the Treasury updated as of today. But let's go. So we're going to start with the DXY first. That's the US dollar index. We want to see if the dollar is perceived to be strong or weak today. Okay, and that's as of, well, actually, oh, it's 5 o'clock. Oh my gosh, it's already 5 o'clock here. Okay, so we do have the latest one. So the market is now open. I just caught it. I didn't realize it was already 5 o'clock. So here we go. So right now, this is the DXY. We're on the day time frame where my cursor is circling at this moment. This is the current candle. The market is now open, okay, for people to trade. And so it's showing us that the candle is red. That means the value, the price is going down, okay? Green means price is going up. Red means price is going down. So when we see green, that gives us a signal that the dollar is getting stronger today. When we see red, that tells us the dollar is getting weaker today, okay? Dollar is getting stronger, green. Dollar is getting weaker, red. Got it? So today, that tells us that the dollar is getting weaker today. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the 10-year Treasury yield. Okay, so we have our dollar. We know that the dollar is getting weaker today. And now we're going to move on to the 10-year Treasury. So today, okay, as of 5:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the 10-year Treasury was at 4.687. Okay, that's as of early this morning, 4.687. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down because we want to see if it's up or down compared to yesterday or compared to Friday, whichever date it gives us. Okay, so we're going to go down to historical quotes where my cursor is at. Click on that, and we're going to just scroll down a bit. And if you look to the left, it gives us it gives us Friday, my bad. It gives us Friday. And we're going to go all the way over here to where it says close. When it closed on Friday, the market closed on Friday, it was at 4.687. 4.687. So that means that we are still in the same spot as Friday. So prior to that, on Thursday, it was 4.7. So actually, the Treasury was down. Okay, the Treasury was down compared to the previous day. So dollar is weaker. Treasury is down compared to the previous day. Got it. Mental note or write that down. Treasury is down compared to the previous day, and then the dollar is appeared to be weaker today compared to Friday. Okay, write it down. So next, we're going to go to the NASDAQ. I specifically use QQQ because that is covering our top technology companies. And because cryptocurrency, blockchain is in that realm of technology, we want to see if risk is on as it pertains to technology or if risk is off. Okay. So let me move this out the way. So we're on QQQ. Daytime frame again. Remember, when the candles are green, that means price is going up. When the candles are red, that means the price is going down. So on Friday, this is where I am. On Friday, the price was going down. So green means people are risk on. They are buying into more technology at this moment. They are a bit confident. Red means their risk is reducing, or their risk is not as heavy. They're probably reducing their positions or reducing their exposure to specific types of technology. Okay. So red tells us we are now risk off for that day. So Friday, QQQ, the NASDAQ was risk off. I want you to write that down or take a mental note. So dollar is weaker today. The treasury yield was down compared to the previous day. Risk is off for Friday with QQQ, NASDAQ. And now we're going to move on to NVIDIA, because this is our kind of like our barometer as it pertains to AI and how excited people are still about AI at the moment. Okay, so looking at NVIDIA on the day time frame. All right, I'm seeing like that don't look right. There we go. Okay, looking at NVIDIA on the day time frame. Okay, again, green means price is going up. That means people are still excited about it, still excited about AI. We in there. Price goes down. There's a little bit of, I don't know, or pause for the cause, okay? So people may not be as excited or as confident or as enthusiastic about AI at the moment. That doesn't mean people are just dropping AI altogether. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. All right. So this is the last candle. This is Friday, okay? The market closed lower than where it opened. The candle is red. So that tells us that people are not as excited on that day, Friday, as they were previously when it comes to AI. It just gives us an idea, okay? That's not an end all be all. It's an idea. So we're going to write down NVIDIA, no go on AI for today, for that day, which is Friday. All right. Last thing we're going to look at is the Bitcoin ETF flow. So when it comes to the Bitcoin ETF flow, this is telling us if institutions are putting money into Bitcoin or are they taking it out? Okay. Are they putting money into Bitcoin or are they taking it out? There are multiple places you can go. I've used Bitbo before, but sometimes they don't update it as fast. And I also use coinglass.com, which is on your screen where my cursor is circling. You can go here as well to look at the Bitcoin ETF flow. So they actually have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and Hype. Got it? All right. So what we're going to do is look at the past 2 days. So this is Friday and then this is Thursday. So Friday we were negative. Okay. That means there was more going out. People were reducing their exposure or reducing their positions. They were selling their Bitcoin as far as the institutions go, right? So we were negative. Okay. Also the day before, which is on Thursday, last Thursday, negative as well. So we had 2 negative days. All right. So that means that as far as Bitcoin goes, the institutions are not gung-ho right now when it comes to Bitcoin for those past 2 days. Got it? All right. So now that we have all that information, we're going to talk about, well, how do we identify what type of environment we're walking into? Okay, because we look at those 5 things to help us say, before I open up my Bitcoin chart, well, what do I see? Okay, what could I potentially be walking into? So for my people, if this is your first time watching my live, I got you covered. Okay, this is what we're looking at. We're going to use what I call the traffic light method, because a lot of us are grown adults. We drive, we have our driver's license, so we have to follow green, yellow, red, right? Green means go, yellow means slow your tail down, red means stop completely. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. All right. So for us, green means we're walking into a high confidence environment, meaning people are risk on. They are buying into riskier assets. They're putting money into AI, technology, things of that nature. Okay, those growth assets. How do we know it is green or a high confidence environment based on the 5 things that we just looked at? Okay, I'm glad you asked. So when we see that the dollar is down, when treasury yield is down, and we have the NASDAQ is up, NVIDIA is up, and we have positive flows for crypto, for our Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, whichever ETF, right? When we see that, that tells us that risk is on, money is not as expensive, okay? And more people are comfortable with putting their money into those growth assets. So more than likely, we may see a bit of movement to the upside when it comes to Bitcoin. Everybody got it when it comes to the green. Okay? So when I ask the question of, do we see a green environment, yellow environment, or red environment, you should be able to answer that based on those 5 things that we looked at. The dollar index, the treasury yield, 10-year treasury yield, the NASDAQ, specifically looked at QQQ, NVIDIA, and then the Bitcoin ETF flows, okay? Now, if it's not green, it may be red. Red means that investors are cautious. Why are they cautious? Because the dollar is stronger, so that means that we would see a green candle for that day. The treasury yield is up compared to the previous day. So that means money is a bit more expensive. So that means borrowing money may cost us more, or it may not be as available for us to borrow. Got it? Then we would see the NASDAQ is down. We would see NVIDIA is down, and we would see negative ETF flows for that day. That is red. That means this is not the time to invest. Risk is elevated, so you need to stay on the defense. Okay? So if it's not green, if it's not red, based on what I just shared, then guess what? It's yellow. That means that it's mixed signals. We're not showing what we would see with green. We're not showing what we would see with red. Got it? So based on the 5 things that I gave today, that we showed, the dollar is down today, okay? Compared to Thursday, the treasury yield is down. Friday stock market close, QQQ, the NASDAQ, down. NVIDIA, down. And Bitcoin ETF flows, down. 2 days in a row, actually. Y'all, that is, in this case, that is mixed signals, because in order for it to be completely red, we need to see the dollar is up and treasury yield is up. Well, both of those are down. So, as of today, July 26, 2026, Leona would say, you know what? This is not the time to push any buttons. Sit on my hands. I'm going to just chill, okay? I'll come back and look later. Would you agree or disagree? Let me know in the chat. Okay? Let me know in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, you can also let me know. All right. So that's it. That is what we do every single day. We look at what's happening in the headlines. We separate the facts from opinions. Okay. We also make sure that we think through according to our own investor plan. We observe, we prepare, we execute. We determine which one we're going to do based on the information we gather for the day. Okay. Then we look at, all right, we're going to look at Bitcoin. So if I'm saying it's sending mixed signals, okay, normally what will happen is when we see mixed signals according to those 5 things, it's possible that it's more likely I would see Bitcoin moving sideways. It may go up a little bit, but it's not going to be some massive move to the upside. It may move down a bit, but it may not be a massive move to the downside. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at Bitcoin. And then we're going to see if, since I said yellow, mixed signals, we're going to see if Bitcoin is moving sideways. Okay. Because we've done this multiple times and that's what has happened. So let's see. What is going on with Bitcoin for the day? All right. So looks like we're still in this same area. We're back below 65K. So this white line here is what I established back in May. So we're still below the 65K area. Okay. We're not big massive move to the upside, large massive move to the downside. We're still sitting here in this area. Okay, it moved up a bit and then it pushed down, and now we're just right back in the same spot we were in back in on the 15th of July and back in June 22nd. All right, so that's how I use all this information to help me to decide what I'm gonna do based on the information I gather. Okay, so it's not hard. It's easier. The more you do it, the easier it gets, and also the faster you get at doing it. Okay, so what I want to challenge you to do every day this week, we're walking into a new week. Okay, every day this week for the remainder of the month of July. Okay, because the first is on what, Saturday. So for the rest of this month, I want you to ask yourself, what did I do today that prepared me to become a better investor? That's number one. Okay. It doesn't have to be anything massive like, oh, I bought something or I didn't buy anything. But I want you to say, okay, I read an article like we did on the live stream. We read the article from CoinDesk right here. I watched the lesson. You're watching one right now, especially if you're watching the replay. Okay. You may have added to your I Got It fund, reviewed your investing plan, or learned something new, learned a new concept, a new strategy, whatever. Progress isn't always measured by our transactions, y'all. It's measured by how well we prepare. Got it? So hopefully you learned something tonight, and you take this information with you and you pass it on to the next generation. You pass it on to someone that you care about and you love. You want to see them win as an investor, whether it's crypto or another asset class. Y'all, you can apply this type of thinking to any asset class. Okay. So tonight, okay, what we learned is something a lot of new investors tend to overlook. Doing nothing isn't always a missed opportunity. Doing nothing typically protects our future. Okay. Successful investors don't always measure themselves by how often they trade or how often they buy an asset. They measure themselves by how consistently they follow their plan. Got it? So on Friday, because I will not be going live on Tuesday, y'all, for a Crypto One-on-One, I'll be hosting a Wealth Evolution webinar on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. It's going to help you with your cryptocurrency investing journey. I will not be live again for Crypto One-on-One until Friday, y'all. Okay? And we're going to see how that prosperity pause and investor dashboard, the traffic light method, and all of this stuff, how it all works together in one complete investing process. Okay, from start to finish, from headlines and so on and so forth. All right, so until then, I would love to see you guys win. Continue to prepare today so that way you can prosper tomorrow. Keep asking questions, keep showing up, keep learning, and keep executing. All right, so I'm gonna leave you with my favorite quote, and that's from the legend. His name is Arthur Ashe, and he said to start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. See you guys on Tuesday for the Wealth Evolution webinar. If not, see you on Friday for the Crypto 101. Bye, y'all.